Welcome to B2B Synergy, the Power Partners USA podcast, your exclusive guide to discovering the potential of B2B partnerships. I'm Alan Armijo, owner of Power Partners USA business-to-business introduction and referral service. Our members are B2B professionals who team up to provide each other repeat referral business or collaboration. Today's episode shines a light on Guy Shurki, owner of Shur-Net Solutions Inc. and new Power Partner USA member. Guy, I'm really looking forward to this conversation in order to give everyone a firsthand understanding of your work in technology as an MSP managed service provider. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. Could you explain your business services? What exactly is a MSP managed service provider?
So I'll just explain that Shur-Net Solution has been in business for about a little bit more than 2 decades. And when we started Shur-Net Solution, we started as more of a break it, fix it. And break it, fix it mean if you have problems, then you call us and we come in and we fix it. And there isn't too much of what I call a proactive approach to your network, to cybersecurity. And over the years, we start moving more into an MSP, managed service provider. And managed service provider basically mean that Shur-Net Solution take over your network. And we are there to do everything as an MSP, from installing your computer, your network, your setup, your application, your cloud-based software, your Office 365. But we are also there to do the proactive things that we need to do, which also include sitting with the business owner, thinking about the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, planning for what kind of purchases you need to do, budgeting of equipment, computer service, printers, and putting everything into budget. That's more of a proactive approach on the finance side for the business related to their IT. We also talk with the owner about the best ways to run the business from our IT point of view. When in the past, most businesses were using POP3 account. Now we are in Office 365, using SharePoint, moving from, let's say, a local server into a cloud server. What are the advantages, disadvantages, the cost, things like that. So there's a lot of communication between us and the client about their business operation and where they're going and what's the best way to bring them over there with the least amounts of downtime. So it's a collaboration. It's a basically deep collaboration between the IT company and the business owner or the CEO about how to run the business on the IT side in order to meet their expectations.
So do you find yourself acting as the IT department with your clients?
99% of our clients, yes. 99% of the clients, we are the IT department. And, it's not important if it's 3 computers or our biggest client is about 300 computers. And we are basically their IT department. So in some cases, I will be also what you call the CIO, the Chief Information Officer for the company. So I will sit on board meetings. I will sit with the executives and do all the planning that we need to do. In few cases, we are assisting the IT department in more of, I would call it the strategic server, cybersecurity, infrastructure aspects of the business. And that way the owner doesn't need to have a $200,000 CIO sitting on his payroll, and he can have only 2 people that do, or 1 person that does just the help desk. And we can come in and supplement that company.
What is your territory? What cities do you work around?
LA County and Orange County. We used to have some client in Riverside, but no longer, but mainly Orange County and LA County.
What is the size of your company? Like, how do you describe your company employee-wise, or how do you manage?
So we have 6 technicians that's working for us beside myself. And we have other companies that we have partnership with when it comes to cabling and when it comes to camera installation. So over the years, we build this infrastructure within the company that we can pull resources into the company depending on the risk or the project that we need to do. So if we'll have a project that's required to build a whole network from scratch for a new client, then we'll pull a cabling guy, we'll bring in our internet broker, our technicians will come in to do the work. But yes, the core is fixed technician, myself, and then we pull in whatever other resources we need into the business. So the core service for the company as an MSP, managed service provider, is the day-to-day operation of our client. And that will be from managing the user, managing the network, managing the backup, managing cybersecurity, purchasing equipment, setting up equipment, and troubleshooting. So that's the core 90% of the business. The rest of the 10%, that will be infrastructure, which is basically cabling project and camera setup for security. And with the last service that we have is phone system. So we also put IP phone system. So we do the MSP, cameras, cabling, and phone systems.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your ideal client or the kind of clients that you're working with. You mentioned the infrastructure, the things that you do are set up for a client, but who are the clients?
So our biggest clients are nonprofit organizations. We have 5 nonprofit organizations in LA County that we've been managing for the last 20 years. And it's anywhere from about 50 computers to about 300 computers. The rest of the client that we have is regular companies, for profit, and they can go anywhere from dental offices to doctor offices to warehouses to law firm to construction companies and on and on. So we don't have one sector that we are dealing with. It can be a law office, it could be construction, nonprofit organization, or healthcare.
With something in healthcare, what standards are there security-wise that might not be in the same?
Well, so you're looking at basically on HIPAA, and you have to, so different businesses will have different requirements for security, and we understand that. So if you're a business owner that you're for-profit, and you're not a doctor office or dental office, then your requirement for cybersecurity and complying with record savings is different than other businesses. So when we start working with dental officers or any other doctor office, then we look on, first of all the equipment have to be HIPAA compliant, the firewall have to have active services running on it for filtering, the servers have to be encrypted, the data have to be encrypted, the backup have to be encrypted. We have to have on-site backup and remote backup, all those things. And you build them a cybersecurity policy for the company that fit that doctor office or healthcare provider, whatever it is. And you look at the things that are compatible with HIPAA. In those cases, the employees will have to get training every half a year regarding being HIPAA compliant. The computer has to be in a certain way. The monitors have to be in a certain way, and on and on and on. So you look at the client and you see what the requirement from that client to protect their data of their client in order to not get hacked and nothing gets stolen.
Right. And like I said, no company wants their information hacked, stolen, or hit with ransomware, right? But how do you define in discussing with a client when you're talking about, say, cybersecurity versus just regular security? You know, like, what is the differentiation when, like, how are we approaching cybersecurity nowadays?
Well, I don't see, for me, there is only cybersecurity, and that includes everything, and that also includes HIPAA. So everything is within that umbrella of cybersecurity. And I think today we are basically in a war. And we deal with it every day. You're warring against people that want to get money from your client, and they will do anything they can do in order to get into those files, the servers, and into the network. There's a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars in ransomware last year. And as long as there is digital currency that is not going to be detected, and you don't know where it's being transferred, then there will be ransomware, because that's the key way to transfer money from one place to another. We see it over and over again. We recommend certain things to clients in order to protect the network. Basically, my goal is to educate the client what they need to do. And it's the client's goal to either say yes to it or say no. And what we see time again and again is that when we will come to a client and say, you need to replace your firewall because the protection expired on your firewall, and they will say that there is no budget, they will pay for it later on. Unfortunately, we make sure that we say that and we educate, but the goal is to try to secure the network. I look at it as an onion when you have different layers. So you got the firewall, you got the antivirus on all the computers, you got the antivirus on the server, you got the backups, so different levels of protections. And we have the Office 365 and the emails, and those will have their own protection. So when an email comes into the company, it will go through Office 365. It will be scanned against the Office 365 Defender. It will come through the firewall. The firewall will scan it again, and then it will come to your computer, and your computer antivirus will scan it again. So we build all those levels of protection in order to try to avoid getting a ransomware attack on a client via emails. But again, we know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know, which means we're always catching up with the next virus that is out there. So whatever virus the hackers are releasing today, and we develop a new pattern for that virus in order to detect it, there is another virus out there that they developed, and we don't even know that they developed. And we'll know that they developed it only the time that someone will get hacked or it will be captured, and then they will build a new pattern for it. So it's always like a mouse and a cat game between us and the hackers.
So, we talked about types of clients you have, and I asked about security or cybersecurity. So when you go into a client, and in my experience, most people are not technical. So they're relying on your expertise, right? To suggest and to set them up. Do you go in and say, look, this is what you need based on, do you base it on budget? Do you base it on computers? How do you approach the setup?
So it doesn't have only one way. First of all, you need to understand how the business works, what the business does. So you understand the business aspect of your client. And then you need to understand how the data flow within the network or within the business. Do all the employees come into the workplace and work locally, or do they work from home? Do they work from home and work from the office? Do they work from the office and have contractors working remotely? Are they working from overseas? All those things are things that I need to ask the business owner in order to get enough information about the business. And then when I understand the business model, I understand how the data flows, then I can take it into the recommendation, depending on how many computers they have or what they think they need. And I can come to the business owner and say, okay, this is what I recommend. Now, what is your budget? Let's talk about that. And now let's see if the budget will fit, or we need to downsize what you need to do, or you need less hours, or you need more hours. Really depend on the client. So the main thing is not so much the computers. It's understanding the business and knowing the budget and what the client can afford. And then you take those two, combine them together, and give the client a solution.
Okay. So how do you suggest that Power Partners qualify people for you? What are some of the words, phrases, or conditions that we should be looking out for that would lead to a good referral or recommendation for you?
Well, I think the best thing is when client comes and say, oh my God, my computer is so slow, or, someone hacked us and we lost all our data. And I've seen that happen time after time, that you have IT companies that are taking care of clients, And then when the client get hacked, there is no backups because they did not know how to back up the data for the client and secure it, which means the hacker came into the company, was able to get the data and the backup at the same time. And that's quite shameful. So I think any power partner, when they go out to their client and they talk with the client and they hear that someone hacked them and they never had backup or the backup didn't work right, that's the point that you need to think what kind of IT company you're paying for and dealing with. When you go into a company and you basically see that their system just doesn't work right. I mean, either they're not able to function, their emails are old and archaic, their computers are old, the internet is slow, they don't have Wi-Fi in their office. All those things are, for me, symbols that the IT company doesn't do their work. And
in those cases, is it the IT company or they don't have an IT company? Because that would be pretty bad.
I would say 99% of the companies today have someone taking care of them because IT becomes so involved that business owners, it's really hard for them to, go ahead and manage their business and their IT. Sometimes it will be an IT company. Sometimes it will be the friend of a friend that's helping those guys. And that's usually quite a bit of a problem that, they're playing the IT person instead of getting the IT person that they need to work with them. But in either way, if anything with the network is not working the way that I describe it, they can always say, I recommend or I would recommend you to call this person. He can come in, he can look at what you have. We're not going to charge him for that. And I can give him the recommendation of what I think they should be doing. Okay, now, if they decide to continue with their IT guy, good for them. If they decide to switch to another company, great. If they decide to switch to us, even better.
Right. And just as far as qualifications, again, let's talk a little bit about the starting point that's worth it to you. Is it the number of employees or the number of computers that somebody has in the office? Because somebody's like with the e-commerce business might have a big business. They need that security, but they don't have a big setup, right?
Right. So what I'm looking at last week, someone sent us a referral for a law office that have 3 computers. And again, their IT person moved them to a new office, but without setting up the cabling for them, without setting the copiers, nothing. It's 3 computers. Now, I would say anything from 3 computers and above, we can handle. The way that my business is built, we almost have no expenses in the business. So we're able to handle smaller clients and still make it profitable. So I have no problem to start with 3 computers and going up. The ideal client is somewhere between 20 to 25 computers. That's the perfect client in the size. But again, 3 computers and up to 300 computers the company can handle.
Right. So I'm taking away that you handle a lot of different types of clients, a lot of businesses, a lot of different security, big and small. So, there is no one size fits all for you, right?
I always appreciate the smaller client for giving me the bigger clients, and it's happened again and again and again.
Right. Okay. All right. As a reminder to everybody, Power Partners USA is a B2B introduction service. We introduce business professionals to each other who can provide each other repeat leads or referrals or do business collaboration. We are targeting this podcast to your Power Partners guide to bring you more repeat referral business. Who would you say, what professions give you repeat business?
Usually it's CPAs, internet provider salespeople, whenever we get to meet them. But most of our business came from one client referring another client over the last 22 years. But it's usually CPAs, business consultants, and people that basically plug themselves into the IT, which means like the AI department, the internet service provider, copier specialists, people that sell copiers and printers to businesses. So those are the core Power Partners that we have.
Okay, cool. And then they'll refer you business. Is it reciprocal? Are you able to work with them as well?
It is, because a lot of time you will hear that, when you build relationship with your client, they will talk with you also about their finance, and you can refer them to CPAs. With printers, if you find someone that does really good copier job with your client, then you will take them with you to the rest of your client, and you refer that way. Internet provider, whenever the client moves, whenever you need an upgrade, we approach the same people and we give them business. So yeah, it is both ways.
It seems to be like copiers are everywhere. It's like the main thing of a business.
Copier, yeah. and we've been getting work from copiers for years. When they come in, they install a copier, but the network is not set up. They don't know how to set up the scan to email, things like that. And that's your entry point into a new company.
Right. This is just a random question, because I come across in new businesses or renewals of business licenses, people like I should say it like this, that I come across a lot of salon owners. Are there anything that salon owners might need?
No. So one of our clients is actually Phoenix Salon, which is it's basically a bunch of hairstylists coming into one location.
Yeah, that's your client?
Yeah, Phoenix Salon. That's what I was like.
Yeah, they're in the mall.
Right. So no, but they have different location, and each location is independent. So we have the one in Torrance, and we have one in I think it's city of in Yorba Linda, and another one I think in down in the Spectrum.
There's one in the marketplace here by Trader Joe's and all that.
Right, the one that they just opened, right?
In that case, like they have like a little suite, like 800 square feet or whatever it is square feet per independent business.
Yeah. So each hairstylist will have his own 100 square feet or 150, whatever it is, right? And then you'll have 30 of them over there, but they have to have Wi-Fi. So they need to have Wi-Fi over there. They need to have, the internet connection working right. That's basically what we do with them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just talked to somebody, cold called them, and they said, yeah, they're moving in over there. So that's cool.
They're moving into the one in Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I have a picture of it. I didn't know that they had a bunch of locations.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. No, I think they have 30 of them in Southern California.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Conversation leads to referrals, and that's what I'm seeing. And I'm trying to get as much content from our members, put it into our AI platform, and I can't remember everything, but the AI does. So it'll make these connections once we get more and more people in our database, just to generate these introductions. But it's also this just kind of information that's awesome to know. So I read that Windows 10 will be discontinued soon. Is that correct? What does that mean for your clients with regard to that service?
That means a lot of work, because we have a lot of clients that's still using Windows 10. I find Windows 10 to be a solid, good operating system. I mean, the best one since Windows 7. So it was Windows 7, Windows 10, and now we need to migrate everyone to Windows 11. So I think in the next few months, it's basically taking inventory of all the clients that still have Windows 10 and either upgrading existing machines into Windows 11 or basically purchasing new computers. Now, over the last 2 years, we've been doing a lot of it, trying to get rid of as many Windows 10 that we can. But we're getting to the deadline.
So if you upgrade to 11, your computer might not be able to handle it?
Well, some computers can do that because of the TPM chip. The TPM chip is the security chip that Windows 11 required to have. So without a TPM chip and some other hardware that Windows 11 need, sometimes Windows 10's computers are just not don't have the specification to move into or to upgrade into Windows 11. So you need to basically just replace the computer.
Wow, that's an expense, right?
That's a big expense for a lot of people. And but we've been telling the clients over the last 2 years that they're going to need to replace the computers, and we need to move into Windows 11, and whatever we could upgrade, we upgraded. And now it's a matter of, just replacing computers.
Like in my case, I have it's older HP Spectre on Windows 10. Would that have to be replaced?
It depends. What you need to do is you need to go into Windows 11 website inside Microsoft website and just run a compatibility test on it. And that will allow you to see if the computer is compatible with an upgrade or not. How old is the computer?
It's got some years on it now. It's been very reliable. I've increased the hard drive space on it.
Is it more than 5 years?
Probably.
Yeah. You're in for a replacement.
Yeesh. And this is
now,
going
one thing I'll recommend to you, and something I recommend also my client, is that you see, because we don't make money out of client buying hardware. Like, I'm not selling the client the computers. What I do is I recommend them which computer. I send them the invoice from the supplier that we have, CDW, and then they put their own credit card. So I don't have any incentive to sell someone something that is not good for them, okay, or it's too much, And I've been doing it for 20 years that way. What I recommend you to do is actually go to Amazon and look for refurbished computers. And the price is basically almost less than a third of what it will be if you try a brand new one. So let's say you go with an i7 Gen 10 or Gen 8, which will be perfectly fine for what you do. And it will be $300-$400 instead of $1,200. And I find them reliable. I tell the client to buy their warranty with it, the 3 years warranty, and that's it.
So this is about October. This is going to have to change. And then, like, if you have, is this Office 365, everything upgrades too?
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Well, Windows 10 is the operating system, right? But then
Right.
You also have the 365 packages, like 5 users and all that?
Well, no, so that stays the same. Move to your Windows 11.
Okay.
So you're looking at, the only thing you need to upgrade is the operating system. You don't need to worry about the actual application. Microsoft, about half a year ago, basically Office 2000, anything less than 2019, does no longer work with Office 365. So, if you have 2019 or, Office 365, then you're good to go.
Okay, good. Good to know. Okay, let me just ask another question here. What is the biggest problem or problems that you find your company solving for your clients?
Oh boy, that's a tough one because we do so much every day. I think the main thing is the day-to-day operation for the end user. I can print, my printer is offline, I can access my files, I cannot access my map drive, things like that. That's just the day-to-day operation.
Do you get a lot of that support call?
Oh yeah, every day. And we are managing about 1,800 computers today. So
you just VPN and take care of it.
So we use TeamViewer. We're using TeamViewer with all our clients. So basically, when a client opens a ticket, we can find them in our TeamViewer account, jump into the system, fix whatever we need to do remotely. However, I still drive 40,000 miles a year. I still like going to clients. It's something that I like the interaction face to face with the client and not so much. So my team, sometimes they will be working from their offices at their houses, and I'll be the one driving around to client because I want to see the client and have that interaction. I think it's important.
That's nice. That's good. good that you're able to do that. We talked about this change to Windows 10, but do you see any other emerging trends or technology shaping? Like, what is, we talk about cybersecurity, of course, that's every day. But what about AI? What's your thoughts on how, does that affect you in any way in managed services, AI?
Now, I think AI for our client, it's still at the beginning of the process. And what I mean is that it's not there to integrate with those small to medium-sized businesses. And I can see now that, you can come and talk with the business owner and ask them, what do you want to automate or how do you want to automate it, and try to use AI in order to do the automation. But when it comes to us, we get phone calls from time to time from all kinds of new vendors that do manage IT software, and everyone is popping this AI. Everyone tell you, oh, we use AI, but right now, it doesn't affect my business, but I can see in the future how it will improve our client.
I mean, managed, like AI for managed services versus AI for managing their content. Like those are two different things, right?
And AI for managed services will be that I installed an AI agent on your computer that scan your computer. And when the AI identify a problem on your computer, it's going to generate on its own a ticket into our system, letting us know that there is a certain problem, and which it can actually also send us the article or how to solve that problem.
Right. But that would be more like to make you more efficient versus the client, right?
Now, when it comes to the client, that's part of what I need to do now with this AI. And I'm going to have hopefully a meeting in the next week with your AI guy. And basically to come and say, okay, how can we improve the business? Is there anything that AI can automate for you that you can think of? Something that you're repeatedly doing again and again and again. Maybe AI can do it for you.
Yeah. No, that's, I understand now, like, you answered my question. I hope that people understand the difference because AI is all over the place. It's used in different ways, but nobody understands the applications.
I think people using AI just for, it become a gimmick word in a way because
buzzword.
A buzzword, because you go to staplers and they're like, oh, we're using AI now for your shopping cart. I know what I want to buy. I don't need you to use AI for me, I understand that they will use AI in order to try recommending new things and other things and things that go with the thing that I buy and everything else. But you hear it again and again and again, we're using, but they increase the price also at the same time because they're using AI that you actually don't need. So I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting future.
Yeah, I think the job is to communicate what applications there are for each individual business. And I think because the differences, you can see which clients can benefit from AI, maybe as a trusted source, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's still at the beginning.
Yeah.
AI, and
I think
there will be some jobs that are going to go away because of AI, but there will be a lot of jobs that are going to be created because of AI. That's how I see it.
For anybody wanting to know more about managed IT services through you, what are the 3 most important things that they should take away?
That we've been in business for more than 2 decades, and we carry a lot of our clients with us for the last 2 decades. Our biggest clients been with us for over 2 decades now. So that shows a lot about the quality of service and how much we care about our client. I don't think a client will stay with you if you don't care about that client. A lot of time people will say, well, look at it, it's just a business, but it's not. It's relationship that you build with people becomes your family in a way. So we take care of our clients, and that's the reason we're in business for the last 22 years. We don't come to the client and basically sell a package and walk away. We work with the client. Some clients on a daily depend on the needs, sometimes with a weekly, monthly, or every 3 months. But at least within a 3 months framework, we will talk with the client and make sure that the client is okay. So, yeah, just being in business for 22 years and being profitable and having the same client that started with us, that say a lot about the business.
Okay, good. I mean, that's a great overview. It's a good answer. Because, people depend on their IT. And they have to depend or trust the person that's doing it, and they'll stick with them.
Alan, you have no idea how many times I've seen company comes to me and said, you know what, we call our IT guy and we get from him an answer in 2 weeks, in a week, or a few days from now. You know, if he went down to Mexico for 3 weeks and we've been stuck without the internet now and things like that. I've seen it happening time and time.
Well, how do you manage your growth? Like, as you've gotten more clients, how have you been able to?
You bring more people in.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I'm very picky on who I bring into the company and the skill set. We have very specific criteria that I developed over 20 years of what kind of person I want working for me. And usually it will be a family guy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that I know that have the stability to stay in one place. And that way I know that I can service my client with the same person. They know the person and that person is not going anywhere.
Okay, good. What are the typical costs for your services and how do they compare in the industry?
So I can answer that. Our actual service fee is, I think, the lowest in the industry for a company, right? Not for an individual. I know that people in my business charge anywhere between $165 to $265 an hour. And it's depending on the type of business that we're approaching, but we charge anywhere between $115 to $135 an hour, which is extremely reasonable within the business. And I think that's the reason we are so busy.
Are there any things in your service or in what you do that might cause some resistance or pushback from the client when they interact with you or over time?
When I come into a business, I already know what to expect in a way. And when I see the things that I see, I already know what the solution. So sometimes it comes a little bit, I would say, strong, because I've already seen it. I already know the solution and I know what's need to be done. So I might be a little bit opinionated because I've seen it so many times, but I will still leave obviously the decision is the business owner, what they want to do and how they want to do it. My job over the years, I learned that my job is to recommend to the client what to do. And it's the client decision if they want to do it or not. And if they don't want to do it, then my job is to basically pull back. And whatever going to happen. And that's the bottom line.
You had a client that had been hacked or had ransomware on his e-commerce business.
Okay.
Can you talk about that and what was the result?
Well, so it's exactly tied to the last question that you had, right? So I said my job is to recommend the client what to do, but it's the client decision what they want to do. And with that specific client, the situation was that they have their own IT department and we support their IT department. So we are not the decision makers over there. And about half a year before the hacking, we recommended them to replace their Sonic Wall firewalls because the Sonic Wall firewalls were outdated. And they told me that they didn't have the budget for it. They don't want to do it. They're going to push it to next year. So I had to, again, educate and say, okay, well, if we don't do that, we don't get upgrade. Any new risk, security risk that will be exposed in those Sonic Wall will not be patched. which means you're vulnerable. Any new vulnerability within those sonic walls are going to be exposed to the public. And okay, we'll wait for next year. And the hackers were able to get into the sonic wall to a compromised VPN connection. Actually, Sonic Wall released that those routers and those firewalls were vulnerable to about a month before that. And they got in. They could not encrypt the data because of this, the antivirus software that we installed on all the servers. But they were able to upload some financial files to the cloud. And the client had to pay them in order not to release those financial files. So if they had listened 6 months before that, this whole thing would not have gone. Now, just to understand, my team worked on it for about, I know we were still working on it, but back then we worked on it for about 3 weeks nonstop. So if you look at it, it cost tens of thousands of dollars, including the other team, including the cybersecurity insurance company. And that's something I recommend every client and every business to have cybersecurity insurance. They spend way more money than buying 2 firewalls by far.
So how do you stay up with all the latest changes and updates in technology?
To be honest, I can't keep up with all of it. You can't. I mean, if anyone will tell you that he does, he's a liar. I think it's, we read specific blogs that we need to read. We get emails from our firewall provider, which is either Cisco or SonicWall, about new vulnerabilities and risks that there is out there. We work in it every day. So every day there is something else that comes up.
So, great. I don't have any other questions. Is there anything we missed or anything you'd like to discuss?
No, I think you were thorough. I mean, you did a good job.
Thanks. As far as Power Partners and technology, we have some good IT resources. We want to be known as a strong IT company. I think as we get more members and they learn or can at least say here, like, I don't know about technology, but I have Guy, I can reach out to him. We're glad that you're part of that growing technology group and Power Partners. We think that it's very important to have strong resources in technology, and you're one of them. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.